Hello everybody, welcome back to our self-knowledge course, and today we'll take a look at lesson number 8, the path and life. Let's get started. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into a subject that's strictly related with philosophy. Now remember, philosophy is one of the 4 pillars of Gnosis, and it is a word that means love, wisdom. Philosophy can help us find meaning in life and purpose. Philosophy is a wonderful tool that can enable us to awaken our consciousness. And in today's subject, we have to understand first and to define what life is. See, everybody's life can be represented with a line, which begins when we are born, has a series of events when we first go to school, when we fall in love, when we get married, when we lose someone, when we have children, when we start our business. Everybody's life, as a line, is constrained between those 2 extremes, when we're born and when we die.
Life is represented by a horizontal line that begins when we are born. It is that journey that, like the rails of a train, will inevitably reach the end station when we have to depart from the flesh.
And we have a lot of things that we want to do and that we want to achieve. And luckily, most of us will get to achieve our dreams and the things that we want to do. However, we need to understand that life itself, in its essence, it doesn't really make sense to live life in a mechanical way. It would be very sad that when we die, our lives have been in vain. That when we die, we have not left anything behind for future generations, that we haven't really done anything that contributes to this world. It's very easy to complain about the government, people, about society, but what's really meaningful is to actually do something. Instead of complaining about how contaminated and polluted the world is, I need to be the one who starts recycling. It's like we are not aware of the things that we have until we lose them. Think, for example, about a father who has a son and who is not caring with that son, doesn't give any attention to him, doesn't go to pick him up to school, maybe even forgets about the birthday of that son. You see, maybe that father is absorbed or dedicating his life to his business, to his company, to his career, and he's not really valuing the company that that child is giving to him and the responsibility that actually he has with that boy. But you can be assured that if that boy were to die tomorrow, that father would regret every single minute he didn't spend with him. He would instantly remember all of the things he did that hurt that boy through indifference, cruelty, lack of company, coldness. So in a way, when bad things happen in our life, it can be a curse because we do not like those things, we complain about those, but it can also be a blessing because in the case of the father who loses his son, he will learn what he did wrong, and if he has another son, another child, he will be different with that boy. He will treat him kindly, he will try to be a better father. Why do we wait until bad things happen in our lives? Why don't we change right here and right now? Why are we always waiting for those things? Why is it that we don't learn before the accident, before the tragedy, before the disease? Why? Because we're asleep, the sleep of the consciousness. See, waking up doesn't necessarily mean to have immediate clairvoyance or to control your dreams and have the astral projection. Yes, I mean in a certain level, yes. But in a very basic level, to start waking up is to realize the essential things in life that we are doing wrong. The way we see life currently is the wrong view of life. Society says like you need to be happy, you need to be successful, you need to have this, you need to have that. But in reality, life is not for that. This organic life is just a scenario where we human beings unfold here doing certain things, interacting with each other, and its only objective, the only purpose of life is learning. It's to get to know ourselves.
We urgently need to work on ourselves today, not to dream lazily of the future or an extraordinary opportunity.
Now, we want always to keep the good things in life. We do not want to have tragedy happen in our lives. We do not want death to touch our home, nor we want the disease, nor we want economic problems. We don't want any of those things. But that's because we do not understand yet that life is not the way I want it to be. Life is the way it is. And life in itself, everything that happens to me has a purpose, good and bad. And philosophy is what we need to use in order to see the good things that bad things have to offer, and vice versa. Life in a mechanical way, like going to work, getting a degree, studying, all of those things are necessary, but they are not something that really makes much sense without a path. Now, we could go into the opposite side, into the extreme, and completely abandon life, abandon our family, abandon society, get into a cave and start meditating. Gnosis teaches us that that would also be a mistake. In fact, Venerable Masters have done that, like Buddha, who went to meditate for years and years into isolation and eventually realized that that was not the way, because you might obtain some enlightenment through meditation, but eventually you're back in your physical body. And whether you like it or not, the way, the path, it's the connection between two extremes, the middle, not the extreme of complete renunciation, nor is it a complete immersion into a system, into society and materialism, but rather it is to walk in between. If we were to go to those caves and meditate, we will be abandoning society and running away from life, running away from the problems that life has to offer to us, from the good and the bad that life gives us, whether it be a problem at their marriage, a problem at work with a colleague. All of those things have a purpose that if we are wise enough in order to take advantage of those events, we can use that as the stepping stone in order to move forward in our path. The path is right here and right now, on this very instant. And we need to be with one step on the horizontal, meaning on life, fulfilling our purposes as a citizen, contributing to society, to our family, being a good friend, a good neighbor. But at the same time, do not let the system drag us in to only be machines that serve for a company, for a business, maybe for my own business, where I'm a slave of my own business. That should help me to sustain this physical body, because I need to feed myself, I need to take care of my family, I need to pay my bills, but at the same time, make sure to have the other feet on the vertical line and using the situations that happen to me at work in order to advance on something spiritual. We have said extensively that the ego, anger, lust, hate, laziness, gluttony, all of those things are the obstacle between us and our spiritual part and our being. But if I do not know that I have those elements, how can I get rid of them? And so life is a wonderful school that teaches me that I have gluttony, anger, and hate through the different events that come into my life. If I have a problem with a colleague at work and I observe myself and I see, okay, what am I feeling right now? I'm feeling anger, I'm feeling frustration, I'm feeling a desire for vengeance. Well, there, I have an ego that I can take note of on my psychological diary. Vengeance, anger. Maybe I go to the supermarket and I buy things that I don't really need to eat and that I know are unhealthy. And there I'm able to see through the different events, through the temptations that I have in life, through the different scenarios that appear to me, I can realize the defects that I have. That is the purpose of life, to help me know myself. If someone says something that I don't like and I can observe that I'm expressing an ego of pride, of vanity perhaps, I'm able to see that I do not respect other people's opinions, other people's thoughts. Maybe at that very moment when that thing happens, I can realize that I'm not as good as I think I am. That maybe I am willing to, at some point, tell a lie. That maybe I have an aspect inside of me that feels envy towards those who are more successful than me. if instead of blaming it all into the other person, I try to see what I'm doing wrong, maybe I can see that yes, maybe my girlfriend is angry with me. But if I pedal it back, I can see that yeah, last week I forgot to say I love you to her. Or maybe when was the last time that I gave her a flower or that I took her out for dinner? Instead of being angry with her, I should try and see what am I doing that contributed to creating this ambience, this scenario where things are not in a harmonious way.
A person is what his life is. Looked at from a strictly psychological point of view, any given day of our life is really a small replica of the totality of life. From all this, we can infer the following. If a man does not work on himself today, he will never change.
Remember, outside is a reflection of inside. So the things that are happening in my life, I am part of the problem. It is a natural tendency in society today to always blame others, to always blame somebody else. And if I just react against my girlfriend and I decide to split and break up the relationship, I'm not learning anything. All I'm doing is just running away from life. If I have a job and there's a problem with one of my colleagues and I just quit my job because I cannot stand it anymore, because I have this view that everybody here is bad, people here they are this and that. If I'm always blaming it onto others and I leave the scenarios, I leave at the first sight of problems, then I'm not going to learn anything. That is similar, like the boy that doesn't want to go to school. When we run away from the events of life, we are like that boy, running away from our teacher, running away from the things that we have to learn, from the things that we have to do. We are running away from the events of life that are actually there to teach us something. Wherever we go, to another country, to another city, to another place, we're going to take with us our bag of problems. Because inside of me there's anger. And so life wants to help me to improve. Life wants to help me to eliminate anger. And so what life is going to do is going to assemble a similar scenario to the one that I had in my previous work at a previous company, where I had a problem with anger all the time, reacting with anger and being all the time in a bad mood, protesting against certain situations. Well, the result is going to be that life is going to assemble a similar situation with different characters, of course, different people, but the situation is going to be almost the same. If I file for divorce or break up with my girlfriend because I find that she's this and that, and I find another girlfriend, the only thing that I'm doing is shifting problems. Because with this woman, yes, I had problems, but maybe now I'm with another woman who also has flaws, because every human being has flaws. And if I break up because I find that she's imperfect and that I don't want to be with her, and I find another woman and I start a new relationship, the only thing I'm going to be doing is just shifting problems. I need to see that I am part of the problem, and that just like those ladies had problems and flaws and defects, I also have. And by breaking up a relationship, by quitting my job, by moving to another school, by moving to another city, the only thing I'm doing is taking with me my bag of problems into that new relationship, into that new town, into that new place. If we are not happy today, we'll never be. That is something that we have to understand. We do not know how to live. Constantly through the media, through songs, through music, through movies, we are bombarded with this idea that we're going to find charming prince or the girl of your dreams, that we're going to be happy when we finish high school, or when we finish college, or when we have our own home, or that happiness will come to us when we get married. That is not true. Happiness is not something that we're going to find outside in material things or in people. Happiness is something that we have to create ourselves, and then we emanate into others. Happiness is something that's inside of us. Happiness is something that we have to work for in order to obtain it. Happiness is the most beautiful thing, and it comes to us when we work upon ourselves, when we begin to understand what we're doing wrong, what our flaws are. But if we continue to have that perspective that we have been programmed to believe that happiness is in money, happiness is with that particular person, happiness is always far away and never within reach of our hands. That is the biggest lie that we've been programmed to believe.
Our happiness will be determined by the internal states of our soul. We could be in an earthly paradise with the most beautiful landscapes on the planet, with the most beautiful rainbow that can exist, or witnessing an incredible sunset. But if our internal state is like a raging sea, full of worries, anger, sadness, jealousy, etc., then we could never experience the external beauty that surrounds us.
If we want to walk on a path, then we need to use the different events in life to extract from those moments, from those scenarios, from those problems, the situations that are going to help us know ourselves. When I have a problem with somebody, I need to go into self-observation and begin to ask myself, well, yes, that person maybe was angry, but maybe I also had anger, or maybe the way I reacted was not the right way to react. We need to use philosophy in order to look at life from a different lens, from a different perspective.
When a man begins to work on himself today, when he observes his troubles and sorrows, he is on the road to success. It would not be possible to eliminate what we do not know. We must first observe our own mistakes. It is interesting to observe the daily recurrence, the repetition of words and events of our life. This repetition or recurrence of events and words deserves to be studied. It leads us to self-knowledge.
I need to wake up, and I cannot wake up in the future. I need to wake up right here and right now. If we start applying this in our lives, self-reflection, self-observation, by the minute we have to leave this world, we have to leave this realm, instead of regretting the many things that we didn't do, that we didn't say, or regretting the things that we did do and that we did say, instead, we'll be able to go at peace with ourselves, knowing that we took full advantage of the time that we were given while we were alive. That is what we need to do every single day. Understand how precious it is, the time that we have today when we wake up, the time that we were given today to live. Because living another day is a blessing. And one day, that blessing is going to be gone. It's not about making something huge or big, it's just about taking it one step at a time. Or like the ancient Romans said, carpe diem, which literally translates as seize the day. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.